We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you very much. And good morning, everybody. It is really fun to be here. Okay, so I am going to do our I have my little index card here, and I trust that Sina will tell me if there's something I'm not doing. But in the meantime, I'm going to go with what I wrote, and that is share our statement of purpose. So this is our purpose here at Awakening Together. I'm going to cry early on this one. We are an assembly of equals. We are joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Hot diggity dag. Within an appearance of many faiths and many cultures and so many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and rest in its embrace. Yes, we do. So so we have a core value each week, and I have picked number 3 from our core values. We accept one true self, which is one presence or being, non-dual, without beginning or end, and absolutely changeless. And we live this value by practicing letting go and letting go and letting go of the belief in the individual self as who we are. So if you'll join me in a prayer. We long to live the knowing that we are born free, that no walls divide us, that there's no need to hide. There's just no need to hide. We ask to be a servant of thee and to be a vehicle of divine love, a channel of thy peace, an instrument of thy peace. We ask for direction, divine assistance, as we again and again and again endeavor and indeed do surrender all personal will through devotion to thy will, thy truth. We dedicate our life to thy service. And we ask for your will. Amen. And now I am thrilled to invite our reader, Jill Grace, to read for us from Michael Singer. And we all appreciate Jill's service this morning. And I hand the mic over to you, Jill.
Thank you. So grateful to be here. The Untethered Soul, excerpts from chapter 9, Removing Your Inner Thorn. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our personal problems. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, let's examine the following situation. When you're lonely, you find yourself pondering what to do about your loneliness. What is it that you can say or do in order to not feel so lonely? Notice that you aren't asking how to get rid of the problem. You're asking how to protect yourself from feeling it. You do this either by avoiding situations or by using people, places, or things as protective shields. The loneliness will run your entire life. You'll marry the person who makes you feel less lonely, and you'll think that's natural and normal. But you haven't removed the root of loneliness. You've only attempted to protect yourself from feeling it. Should someone die or leave you, the loneliness would again disturb you. The problem will be back the moment the external situation fails to protect you from what's inside. This is what people do. They let the fear of this inner thorn affect their behavior. They end up limiting their lives just like someone living with an external thorn. Ultimately, if there is something disturbing inside of you, you have to make a choice. You can compensate for the disturbance by going outside in an attempt to avoid feeling it, or you can simply remove the thorn and not focus your life around it. Do not doubt your ability to remove the root cause of the disturbance inside of you. It really can go away. You can look deep within yourself to the core of your being and decide that you don't want the weakest part of you running your life. You want to be free of this. You want to talk to people because you find them interesting, not because you're lonely. You want to have relationships with people because you genuinely like them, not because you need for them to like you. You want to love because you truly love, not because you need to avoid your inner problems. How do you free yourself? In the deepest sense, you free yourself by finding yourself. You are not the pain you feel, nor are you the part that periodically stresses you out. None of these disturbances have anything to do with you. You are the one who notices these things because your consciousness is separate and aware of these things. You can free yourself. To free yourself of your inner thorns, you simply stop playing with them. And the more you touch them, the more you irritate them, because you're always doing something to avoid feeling them. They are not given the chance to naturally work themselves out. If you want, you can simply permit the disturbances to come up and you can let them go. Since your inner thorns are simply blocked energies from the past, they can be released. The problem is, you either completely avoid situations that would cause them to release, or you push them back down in the name of protecting yourself. Ever since you were a child, you've had energies going on inside. Wake up and realize that you are in there and you have a sensitive person in there with you. Simply watch the sensitive part of you feel disturbances. See it feel jealousy, need, and fear. These feelings are just a part of the nature of a human being. If you pay attention, you will see that they are not you. They are just something you're feeling and experiencing. You are the indwelling being that is aware of all of this. If you maintain your center, you can learn to appreciate and respect even the difficult experiences. For example, some of the most beautiful poetry and music have come from people who were in turmoil. Great art comes from the depth of one's being. You can experience these very human states without getting lost in them or resisting them. You can notice that you notice and just watch how experiencing loneliness affects you. Does your posture change? Do you breathe slower or faster? What goes on when loneliness is given the space that it needs to pass through you? Be an explorer. Witness it, and then it will go. If you don't get absorbed in it, the experience will soon pass and something else will come up. Just enjoy all of it. If you can do this, you will be free, and the world of pure energy will open up within you. The more you sit in the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. When you are no longer absorbed in your melodrama, but instead sit comfortably deep inside the seat of awareness, you will start to feel this flow of energy coming up from deep within. This flow has been called Shakti. This flow has been called spirit. This is what you're beginning to experience if you hang out with the self instead of hanging out with inner disturbances. You don't have to get rid of loneliness. You just cease to be involved with it. It's just another thing in the universe, like cars, grass, and the stars. It's none of your business. Just let things go. That's what the self does. Awareness does not fight awareness. Awareness releases. Awareness is simply aware while everything in the universe parades before it. If you sit with the self, you will experience the strength of your inner being, even when your heart feels weak. This is the essence of the past. This is the essence of a spiritual life. Once you learn that it's okay to feel inner disturbances and that they can no longer disturb your seat of consciousness, you will be free. You will begin to be sustained by the inner energy flow that comes from behind you. When you have tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, you can walk in this world and the world will never touch you. That's how you become a free being. You transcend.
Thank you, Jill. Beautifully, beautifully read. Thank you. When you have tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, you can walk in this world. The world will never touch you. And for me, what that means is there will be a knowing that you never walk alone. We, I, you, all of us, never walk alone. So we're born free. Free as the wind blows. I mean, like something in us knows that. And yet, the song tells us there's no walls to divide us and there's no need to hide. And yet, sometimes that happens. And I suppose what I have spent the last 6 years becoming a student of is how that happens. Like, wait, I'm clear. Wait, I know what I want. And I even prayed this morning, and I'm getting to be a decent meditator. I can sit still for an hour straight. I'll never forget my dad was real sick 7 years ago. And I had a cousin she's the kind of nurse that can, I can't remember what she is. She's a skilled person who can sit with people who are not well and overnight. And that's what she would do. But then she'd come in the morning to listen to Reverend Carol, listen to Jackie sing, come to CCL, come to Center for Conscious Living in New Jersey. And no matter how much Dad kept her up the whole night, she was ready to roll at 9:30 to come to church at 10 o'clock. She wasn't going to miss it. She didn't live in the area. She lived down in Delaware. And I remember one of our relatives said, how do you get up? How do you get up and go to that church every morning? She said, well, one thing I got to tell you, I've never seen Ann sit still for an hour. And Ann sits perfectly still. And I sit perfectly still. And my heart is fed. And it was like, fed. Okay, so now even without Reverend Carol and without Jackie, I can sit still. So what stops it? In all seriousness, what gets in the way? How I and the bottom line for me is I got pretty good about the big stuff like loneliness, right? And like unworthiness. And I don't mean good like it doesn't come up, but when loneliness or unworthiness or that kind of stuff comes in, like, oh, okay, this is a big thing. Like, this is a big thing. I'm going to take big time. I'm going to journal about it. And I've got some great tools that we learn in gentle healing. We learn different places in the sanctuary. But I started to notice that throughout the day, I didn't remain like I would have that kind of peace and that clarity and that there's just nothing like a regulated nervous system, right? We're just at home. I mean, that's how you want to practice goal number 3, get a regulated nervous system, because you can rest in the truth that you are. And if you're not resting, it's because the nervous system got a cue of not safe, and it is having its own reaction. And if I'm not centered, I'm on the roiling sea, right? And I'm moving with it. And how this really got clear to me when it actually arises is last weekend, as Jackie mentioned, we were in Resolving for Truth, the retreat last weekend with many of you. And there came a point in the retreat where we read from Adyashanti, practice absolute sincerity. And this is from his book, The Way of Liberation. And when we were reading, as we do in retreats, right, we read a paragraph and then we contemplate out loud. We share what comes up for us. And Jackie's just so wonderful, just holding that space, just giving lots of space. Wisdom needs structure, but wisdom needs space too. And so we read this one line: true sincerity reveals a powerful form of clarity and discernment that is necessary in order to perceive yourself honestly, without flinching or being held captive by your conditioned minds, judgments, and defensiveness. And I just looked at that and I thought, well, I have true sincerity. This I know. But many, many times I can't perceive myself honestly without flinching. It's the flinch that shows me I'm not perceiving the truth. I'm back in the illusion that I'm a separate person, that something's wrong, that I have to fix it, and that I have to get in there, right? And just a little. I mean, and maybe, I'll get in there with compassion and shove the Tao and try to fix things. I'll make up a spiritual concept for why I can't rest and relax and trust this to move through. And what it really brought home to me was the flinches are the programs. We spent 6 beautiful days in Keys to the Kingdom, the ultimate guide to transforming the ego. And sometimes I see programs run, sometimes I don't see them run. But I can always feel them. It's the flinch. There's a little flinch every single time. There's a little contraction. There's a little moment. And so for me, true sincerity means I'm willing to perceive myself honestly by looking for the flinches, by actually praying each day, may I see my flinches. May I notice them. I cannot let go of something I don't see. And what I could see in my own life is I had just become accustomed to rolling with different flinches that came up. Like it was just a strategy. And while that was as sincere as I could be, from this reading, I could see I was being invited to another level of sincerity, which is that every time there's a flinch, can I notice? Can I pause? Can I move in closer? So there's noticing, and then there's moving in. And then for me, the third is, can I stay? Can I feel it? Can I let it come up? Can I actually be with the energy? And this is what I hear Michael Singer walking us through. Well, in every chapter of The Untethered Soul, but these excerpts are just guided right to chapter 9. So in order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. Are we really, am I really waking up in the morning and saying, today I embrace change. Today I'm going to notice resistance to flinches and not wish they'd go away. Matter of fact, my prayer is not going to be, let me feel good all day and have no flinches. My prayer is going to let me be, when they come, let me pause, let me see them, let me feel them. Let me recognize them for what they are. A huge opportunity for healing. There's some embedded program that just got hit, that just got a cue of not safe. That's what a flinch is, right? The autonomic nervous system is just choom, and it's all rehearsed. And Michael Singer walks us through this. Your inner thorns, that is, every flinch, and it begins so little, just that hesitation. When the I know mind gets in there, tells you, you know how we say, I don't know what anything's for. I don't know what anything's for. The flinch tells you it knows exactly what it's for. It's for being clear that they're wrong. They just made you flinch. Or you made you flinch. You're just not strong enough just to be strong and keep your heart. So one way or the other, mind is going to blame somebody for the flinch. It's just designed, it thinks it's keeping us safe. We programmed it this way. And it's either going to go off on a story about how dare they make me feel. Matter of fact, I'm not going to have lunch with them. No, matter of fact, next time I'm going to cancel. No, mind is just going to figure out how to protect. Or we're going to go in and be like, what are you doing? I thought you were stronger than that. Look at you being all upset. She is just trying her best. I mean, there's an inner scolding that happens. But either way, what I notice, I abandon the flinch. Flinch comes. And I, the indwelling being, I, the consciousness, I get the heck out of there. Where do I go? Up to story. Outward attention, out to blame. Down to self-blame. I abandon the flinch. Well, guess what that does to the flinch? It just freaks it out. There's already been a little bit of pain. And now we're not even there to be like, that's all right, baby. I got you. What's happening here? Just staying in, just stay. What's happening here? I can't tell you how many times a day now I'm like, right here. And the other day someone said, do you have indigestion? And I was like, no, I'm good. But like, we're playing cards and like 12 flinches come up. Like I'm walking, seeing Reggie and my nice neighbors across the street. I love them, but they put up big signs that says, please keep your dog off our lawn, keep your dog. And so I just seeing the sign, there's a flinch. I mean, they have never come out and yelled at me or anything. And of course, I have never taken Reggie over there, right? But there's still a flinch. So can I be with that? Can I stop? Can I take a breath? So first, can I notice it? And then this is a flinch, which means it's a program. And so a program, so we're just using that term in terms of a conditioned response that we've learned over time that keeps us safe. At least that's what ego thinks, right? From when we were long ago, too small to deal with something, it got encoded as a danger. And now that program plays every time. Nope, nope, nope. And Michael Singer talks about this, right? But he's real clear. If you want, you can simply permit the disturbance to come up and you can let them go. I can't permit the flinch to come up and then let it go if I don't turn attention to it at the moment of its burn, right? At the moment of its, because I've just gotten better at just rolling with stuff and blowing stuff off. And I do it in the name of, I'm not gonna let that bother me. I'm not gonna let that ruin my day. But there's a fine line between pushing it away as a more subtle form of repression and denial or staying with it. If it ain't nothing but a thing, why can't I stay with it? Well, why I can't stay with it is because there's just a little more energy to burn out. There's some sadness. There's some fear. So he says, if you want, you can simply permit the disturbances to come up. And the good news is they already come up. We all flinch every day, many times. So they do come up, but we can let them go. Since your inner thorns are simply blocked energies from the past, they can be released. So that's the why. That's always the why. Why is it? I was having a perfectly good day. Why is this happening? Why? Because there's simply blocked energies from the past. That's always the answer. It's never not the answer. It is the essence of a dysregulated nervous system. You've got some unprocessed, emotionally stored energy. The only way unprocessed, emotionally stored energy is going to get released. The only way I'm going to be able to live that I'm born free, that there's no boundaries. And so I don't need to hide, is to stop hiding, managing, suppressing, denying the flinch. Just those little moments. So why? Why do we have these? Because they're blocked energy from the past. And we do one of two things. Michael Singer. The problem is, he says, you either completely avoid the situation that would cause them to release, right? We just rearrange our plans. Or we push them back down in the name of protecting ourselves. And I noticed I was pushing them back down in the name of, I'm not going to listen to that. But I was listening to it because the flinch comes with it and says, this is too scary, honey. You got to get. And so I am actually listening to it when I push it away. So he goes on to say, ever since you were a child, you've had energies going on in there. And what we learned in Keys to the Kingdom, what neuroscience tells us, where all these flinches come from, where do all these conditioned responses come from? Last trimester of pregnancy, first 7 years of life. We were in this theta state. We were just learning how to be a human, learning how to be in a family, learning how to be in a community, in a culture, in a country, in a world. We weren't even there in terms of the presence, the consciousness. But the flinches show us where the work still is. And so the why is blocked energies from the past. He says we normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves, but real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, and then it brings you through the loneliness thing where you go get married and you have a bunch of, you join clubs or you join this, you don't even really like it, but you don't want to be lonely. You don't want to be lonely. And then next thing you know, you've just protected it. Now, he says, you are the one that notices the flinch. You're not the flinch. But to jump to, I'm the one that notices I'm not the flinch. For me, at least, for me, is a total abandonment of that energy, and it doesn't heal anything. To jump to this metaphysical level of oneness is just a dodge. Well-meaning, nice try, but ego's still in charge. Because why am I jumping to oneness? Because fear's being believed. I believe that can harm me. I believe that has to go. I believe my happiness depends on not having that flinch. And therefore, I'm going to now get rid of all the sources of flinch. There ain't no oneness in that. So just allowing the true desire to come forth. The true desire, if it's anything, it's to be with everything, right? Whatever your spiritual aspiration is, maybe we just take a moment and bring up our spiritual aspiration. What are those words? It's some version of living your whole heart. Meeting the moments with unconditional love, being love. Using every moment as an opportunity for discernment to let go of what is false so we turn back to what is true. So we got this habit energy, and it's all about protecting this little sensitive person you have in there with you. And when I say I abandon the flinch, what it feels like is I'm abandoning that little kid energy that's just scared in that moment, that just doesn't know what to do, just wants to get away. It's just too much. And, you know, we all know trauma has a lot of definitions, but one of the most useful for me is it's just some energy that didn't make it all the way through. At that moment, with that consciousness, it was too much. It got stuck. And the whole system gears towards protecting it, which is why it's truly a gift to be in community with people that have this call in their heart to stand in that river of change that Joe Dispenza talks about, because it's going to get uncomfortable, right? There is no more safety zone to rely on. But if we look at the safety zone, we look at the comfort zone, it's very, very uncomfortable because we're constantly dodging and weaving. So he says, to free yourself from the inner thorns, you simply stop playing with them. The more you touch them, the more you irritate them. Because you're always doing something to avoid feeling them, they are not given the chance to work themselves out naturally. So, I mean, I'll just give you a little example of, I used to think, so I read Untethered Soul when I first got back from India 6 years ago. My friend gave it to me. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is how you do it. But then I just kept not being able to actually do it. You know, Untethered Soul, at some point he just says, look, there's one thing you do, keep your heart open all the time, no matter what. That stuff comes, keeps your heart open. But it was the flinch that closes the heart. The flinch keeps closing the heart. So how do we touch the inner thorns? How do we irritate them? By thinking about them. I wonder why that's happening. I wonder what that, by thinking about them. When we think about them, we're not being with them. When we think about them, we're crowding out the energy. We're actually abandoning the energy that wants to be healed by just being met, allowed, accepted, and loved. And we jump up to mine and we start running with the story. That's how we play with it. And it was very helpful for me to, so neuroscience has always been real helpful for me with this stuff, because it's it seems like my best efforts, it's just beyond me. It's like a steamroller keeps coming. But here's what I learned when we were putting together the 5 unexpected pathways to truth, to clarity, a retreat with Regina this summer. I did a lot of just kind of sitting with the neuroscience of it. Emotions are, do you know how fast an emotion comes up? Because like I had in my mind, I'm gonna keep my heart open, right? I'm gonna see the emotion coming down the road. I'm gonna know I want to keep my heart open. And as it gets closer, I'm gonna be heart open, heart open, heart open. And you know what I mean? It's coming, but I'm okay because my heart, I mean, I'm okay. I'm clear, I'm heart open. No, that's just not how it happens. 1/25th of a second. 1/25th of a second is how fast an emotion comes. Okay, that's the flinch. It's already there. So here's the second fact I found really, really helpful. If not played with, that is, if not thought about, if not engaged, if not juiced with why and what, and juiced with what? Judgment. If not juiced with judgment, because judgment's going to be, for me at least, judgment's going to run. So flinch comes, judgment comes that I'm flinching. And do I have the presence to stay in here? Notice flinch came, notice judgment's running. Notice the flinch, it's here 1/25th of a second. It's already here. But here's the other little information fact that's so helpful for me. If left to itself, do you know how long that emotion's going to run? If not messed with, judged, juiced up, pushed away, 30 to 90 seconds. Not 30 to 90 minutes, not 30 to 90 days, not 30 to 90 weeks. Because how long does the narrative run? Mind, how long does that run? Well, this is the never-ending story. That's going to keep running. At some point, I have to be more interested in healing and bringing attention back down to the flinch than the story. I got to let go of the story to let the flinch do its 30 to 90 second burn. It will not burn out if I'm up in story, because that's putting kindling on. The kindling of what? Judgment. Thinking about it. Thinking about it. And have we thought about, yeah, I thought about that, but I thought I did, I thought that, you know, it's just it's a maze. And what it does is it keeps it alive. So here's the good news, for me at least. Once I got clear about this, as flinch happens, right? Once I got, oh, I'm seeing this all the time. It's like a flare. And the vision that, share my crazy vision. The vision that comes is I'm a fighter. I'm a pilot. It seems like I'm a fighter pilot fighting for truth, right? And it seems like there's a fire in the plane, right? The plane's on fire and it's like the plane. So the flinch comes, the fire comes, and the plane is the story about why and what and how it happened and what it could have been and how old I was. And what I need to do every time is I need to eject. I need to eject. I need to literally eject from the story, because the flinch is right here and I can do anything for 30 to 90 seconds. I can be with anything. But it's impossible if that keeps getting stretched and stretched and stretched when story keeps running and then the fire gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So I eject out of the story. The plane's the story, right? So I feel the fire, I eject out of the plane, and I literally come in, and I just come in. And I know that we can't always do this. So what I do is I keep an index card, and it's flinches, and I just write a word or two in the day. I might not be able to do it in that moment, but I set the intention to be with that, to let that work itself out at some point in the day. Even if it's just like on a quick little bathroom break, I'll just take out my little index card and I can do one or two, because it actually doesn't take that long to let this stuff burn out. But it does take a very, very long time if we believe it does, because that's judgment. The judgment that there's a you that's doing it wrong and it's only you, and the rest of us are doing, you know, the rest of us that took that retreat, we're mostly very, very, very happy. You know, it's just you that, you know, you still don't get it. You know, I'm not even sure you should be here, because the rest of us are having these really good days, and you're just over there kind of mixed up, like, and you haven't even pulled out your notes, you know, and mine just keeps, or you have, but you don't even understand them because you just scribbled shit. And mine, that's the game. We're not down with the flinch when we're up with the story. And so when Michael Singer says, do not doubt your ability to remove the root cause of the disturbance inside of you. We have said nothing about doing journaling or root cause inquiry, have we? We have just said, be with the flinch, be with the flinch. But I'll tell you the last thing that I have been, the last thing I will say is what has been so just amazingly helpful is doing micro journaling. Now, I'm not journaling, I'm not, and hear me, because I'm not journaling for cause. I'm not journaling for insight. I'm journaling for looking. I put a minute on the clock, or if I've got lots of time, I put 2. I put a pen in my hand and I literally just unload. I dump out the thoughts that are running. I'm not inquiring into them yet. I'm not doing any of that. I'm simply willing to see the thoughts that link to the flinch, because the flinch doesn't ever come without a thought. And if I look real quick, I'm like, I don't even know what it is. But if I put a minute on the clock and I put a pen in my hand, so last night I had a quick flinch. So my sisters were celebrating her birthday and she came over yesterday. We had a whole day of cards and then dinners, and mine had this whole fit about I needed to be spending Saturday getting nervous for today. I needed to spend that time, fretting. Like, when am I going to fret? I'm just going to pretend like I can just have a normal Saturday. We went to dinner last night and afterwards, it's like, what? So anyway, so I came in, we got back from dinner and I just did a 2-minute dump. I had, and I've been living this stuff, right? It's not like this is some big talk, right? Here's what comes out. No, I did a 1-minute dump. You are trying to cram in too much. You must streamline it. You can streamline it, but you don't have the discipline. You've always been too much. You are still too much. It's gross, sickening, embarrassing, shameful. You are shameful in your too muchness. Cover that shit up. Shut that shit down. This is what's running. This is what's running. I had a perfectly nice night. You disgust me. You're desperate for approval. You're so needy. And that is so sickening. Ick. I wrote that down. The minute ran, I put my pen down. I slept like a baby. None of that stuff's true, but it runs. And if I don't look at it and say, you ain't true, then I don't give it a chance to die. I don't give this 30 to 90 seconds a chance. I don't put the timeout clock on it. It just keeps running. That should run all night, So that's the opportunity. So the final thing I'll say is Michael Singer has all the hows are in here. All the hows are in this chapter 9. How do we do it? Right? You give it the space it needs. You sit comfortably deep inside. You cease to be involved with it. You let it go. You learn it's okay to feel inner disturbances. And sometimes I find that very hard. Because sometimes a friend of mine was sharing the other day and she said, it's frightening. It's frightening. And I thought, dang, it is. It's just frightening, at least for me, when that stuff comes up. And I can know 30, 90, I know all that, and still it's frightening. And so how do I give it the space? How do I not get involved? How do I not get involved? I need some help. So I imagine that I'm sitting with God. I imagine I'm sitting right with God. And neuroscientifically, invoking deity transforms neurotransmitters. Invoking deity transforms all those brain chemicals that are going, no, 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 no. I, of myself, can do nothing. My father's got it going on. So I come in and I literally sit and I have a little chat with God. As it's flaming, I just sit right with it. We're just sitting together. We got it together, don't we? We definitely got our thing together, don't we? And I feel myself slipping and slipping and slipping into a world of my own. Just me and thee. My spiritual aspiration, I just bring it up. Be in service to thee. And it is helpful for me to imagine the voice of God. And we're all going to have our own little imaginings of what the voice of God sounds like. But for me, there's only one. And that's Barry White. And so I sit with him and he talks to me and I talk to him. And we allow it the space to reveal that every single flinch is a hand from God saying, you can be free of this too today. You want to? And many, 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 many days I say yes. So I thank you all, and I'm going to ask Sina to play our song, and I'm going to ask you all to bring your spiritual aspiration right to your heart right now. If you don't have a spiritual aspiration, maybe you'll just use St. Francis's, right? Make me an instrument of your peace. Good enough for him, good enough for all of us. And this is our opportunity to sit with our spiritual aspiration, just us and our spiritual aspiration, just us and God, and just imagine ourselves sitting through the flinch, sitting through the heat, through the fire. Whew. All right. Amen. And so it is. So I want to remind everyone that as a church, our primary source of income is what you feel guided to give. And the invitation is to look right at your first, your last, and your everything, and just check in and see if that's you, and if donating is the gig, and the little something code thing is right over there. So, and we all are blessed that we all feel called to support our community in so many ways. So maybe we'll do this. What do you think, Sina? Can we'll play one more devotional song and then we'll do the sharing on the other end. That okay? We'll do our last song. All right, let me tell you something. Any morning with Barry White and Brittany Howard is a morning we can all be thankful for. Thank you, Sina. We keep walking. We are walking together and we are awakening together. And I love you with everything in me. Thank you all, and please stay for fellowship. I hand this back to Sina.
Been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.